Hi, Arcfieldweather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday morning, November the 25th. Quite an active weather pattern across the nation over the next 10 to 15 days or so. It will include quite a cold pattern, a colder than normal pattern that really gets underway on Friday and Saturday of the end of this week and will continue at least through the first full week of December, maybe all the way out to December 10th or so across much of the nation. We have a cold frontal system that will slide across the northeastern states later on tonight into the day on Tuesday, bringing some rain with it. And then a low pressure area will kind of cross the country, first throwing some snow across those Rocky Mountain states, including the Colorado Rockies, for an example. And then it will slide to the north and east towards the northeastern coastline, bringing some rain to places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, late Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Of course, Thursday is Thanksgiving Day. On the heels of that storm system, colder air starts to pour in from the northwest on Friday and into Saturday. And by the way, that influx of cold air from the north and west will cross over the still relatively warm Great Lakes, and it looks like it'll turn on that Great Lakes snow machine at the end of the week here with some significant lake effect snows. And that won't be the first and last lake effect event here in coming days. It looks like with this colder than normal pattern lasting well into the month of December, we will probably have multiple lake effect snow events coming up down the next couple weeks or so. Here is a forecast map from yesterday's run of the ensemble version of the European model for days 10 to 15. That's extending from December 4th to December 9th. And this is an average 2-meter temperature anomaly over that 5-day period. That is quite an impressive cold air anomaly here for an average of 5 days during that first full week of December. Again, this is happens to be from December 4th to December 9th. This is way below normal average over that period over an extensive part of the nation. The only exception will be across the western third of the nation, but all the way down to Texas and Florida, well below normal for that first full week of December. Again, that colder than normal pattern really gets set up Friday and Saturday of this week on the heels of low pressure that will slide off the East Coast by the end of the work week. And a lot of that northwesterly flow will cause some lake effect snows, especially downwind of Lake Erie and Lake Huron, beginning as early as late Friday into Saturday. And again, likely multiple lake effect events here over the next couple of weeks. But very, very cold patterns setting up. We haven't really had too many colder than normal Decembers, and again, we're looking at colder than normal for the first 10 days or so of December. Beyond that, it could flip back to above normal, but at least for the beginning of December here, one of the coldest starts to the month in many, many years. Now here's a map of the 500 millibar height anomalies for that same 5-day period. Again, we're looking at December 4th to December 9th here. This is the average of the 500 millibar height anomaly maps here, and it's quite a wintry look here with deep upper level troughs situated right over the mid-Atlantic, northern mid-Atlantic coastline here on average for that 5-day period. Strong ridge out across the west coast, and notice here the flow of air. We mentioned this last week. There could actually be some cross-polar air in this particular pattern coming from the other side of the North Pole, the Siberian side of the North Pole, crossing the polar region and then coming all the way down into the northeastern states. This is, again, a very wintry look here for this first week or 10 days or so of the month of December. Now, another key factor here, this ridge along the west coast, what this does is any kind of a strong Pacific jet stream kind of be forced to move up towards Alaska rather than flooding the U.S. from west to east with mild Pacific air. So this ridge is a key player in this colder than normal pattern. Again, it allows for some cross-polar flow that can bring some colder than normal air from the Siberian side of the North Pole into North America, first Canada, and then into the U.S. And here is a deep upper level trough situated over the northern mid-Atlantic for this 5-day period. Again, one of the coldest starts to the month of December in many years. Well, those prior maps were averages over a 5-day period in those particular cases from December 4th to December 9th. Now we'll soon start with the individual breakdown on last night's 0Z run of the GFS. But right here, let's start off with a look at the total snowfall forecast maps for the next 10 days. A few areas to really highlight here. First of all, this near-term low-pressure system that will move on out of the Rocky Mountain states into the middle of the country by the middle of the week, and then into the northeastern states for late Wednesday night and Thursday, will produce some significant snow over the higher elevations of the western U.S. over the next few days. Significant snow in Sierra Nevada, a mountain range of eastern California, and then all the way over to the Colorado Rockies, for example, where there certainly can be some more significant snow. They've had quite a few events here so far this early winter season here, but this will produce some more significant snow over those higher elevations of the Rocky Mountains. Obviously, there's a low pressure area that will move in this fashion here over the next 10 days or so, producing this kind of swath of snow from southwestern Canada all the way into the heartland. And then the interior sections of the Northeast and the Middle Atlantic region can also get some more significant snow over the next 10 days. This the same sort of area that got hit hard last Friday. We had some significant snow on Friday from the Poconos to the Catskills, northeastern PA to southeastern New York, also the Laurel Highlands of southwestern PA down through the higher elevations of West Virginia, central and eastern West Virginia, even the I-95 corridor region. Many folks saw the first snow of the season with a tracer snow in some of the suburban areas along the big cities of D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City on Friday. Now, that particular area, Philly, D.C., New York, even all the way to Boston, not much in terms of snowfall here over the next 5 or 10 days or so. We'll see if that changes. Obviously, a colder than normal pattern that sets up Friday and Saturday of this week brings in the first requirement, and that is colder than normal air and below freezing air often will be the case here going through that first week to 10 days of December. Right now, it doesn't look too promising for snow in the I-95 corridor region in this cold weather pattern shaping up, but things can change. Certainly we'll keep an eye on it. Finally, the last thing I want to point out, some significant snow right here downwind of Lake Erie, Lake Huron. It's a little too early to say which specific areas will get the bullseye here, but again, Friday, Saturday time frame, it could be an atmospheric setup here, turning on the Great Lakes snow machine. We have very cold air moving over the still relatively warm Great Lakes, and that really destabilizes the atmosphere, and it looks like a lake effect event coming Friday, Saturday time frame. Again, looks like there'll be multiple events over the next 5 or 10 days or so. Well, let's look at the individual maps here. Using the 0Z run of the GFS first. We're starting off here in the North America viewpoint here of the 850, the 2 meter temperature anomalies here. Notice colder than normal air starting off here today on Monday, November 25th, bottled up across western Canada into the northern plains here, and warmer than normal out ahead of a cold front across the Ohio Valley. Now, we'll push forward with time. There is a cold front that slides through the Mid-Atlantic region by tomorrow midday, let's say, and can bring some rain to places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Any kind of rain is beneficial at this point in the overnight hours going into Tuesday morning. Notice, it does not turn all that cold behind it, and that's why the chance for snow is minimal in the I-95 corridor region with the upcoming storm system on Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Not all that cold behind this particular cold frontal system. We'll move ahead here a little bit below normal on midweek. Not a bad travel day at all in much of the eastern part of the nation on Wednesday, but again, there'll be a storm system out over the Rocky Mountain states at that particular time, so it certainly will be dicey travel conditions. Let's say Colorado, for example, at midweek, but not all that much cold air here. Notice that in the northeastern quadrant of the nation at midweek. Then we go into the day on Thursday. Low pressure pulls out of the Tennessee Valley towards the east coastline, the northern mid-Atlantic coastline here, and brings some rain to the I-95 corridor region late Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Certainly can be some snow in some of those higher elevation locations of the interior northeast. That then pulls off the coast by Friday, kind of intensifies off the coast. And here we go by late Friday, starting to set up that pattern now here. Notice this kind of channeling of the colder than normal air pushing in from the northwest to the southeast. And again, some of that will flow right over those still relatively warm Great Lakes, causing a lake effect event here late Friday into the day on Saturday, and that can certainly be significant in some locations downwind of Lake Erie, Lake Huron. Now we'll move forward here, and here we go. We're starting to set up this cold pattern as we begin December. This is Sunday, December 1st, and again, that cold will extend all the way down to Florida and Texas, all the way down to the Gulf Coast region this weekend, and going through much of the first 5 or 10 days or so of December. This is now all the way out to December 4th or so, and it kind of reloads at this particular time with some colder than normal air right here throughout much of the eastern half of the nation. This is all the way out to the end of next week. It starts to turn warmer again out across the middle of the nation about the end of next week, going into the first full weekend of the month of December. Now let's take a look at the 500 millibar height anomalies from the 0Z GFS model run. Again, up front we saw the 5-day average using the ensemble version of the European model. Here is the individual breakdown from the GFS. And we're moving forward here over the next couple of days. Not a lot of cold air here at this particular time, but the pattern changes here by the time we get to the Thanksgiving Day. Notice this kind of deep trough starting to set up, starting to intensify by the end of this work week here by Friday. And again, this is when northwesterly winds will be howling over the Great Lakes and bringing in that colder than normal air above the warm waters of the Great Lakes here. And here we go by Sunday, December 1st. And notice we talked about this up front. Got this ridge kind of popping up right here along the west coast. And the flow of air will allow for northwestern Canadian air masses to move south and east into the central states, ultimately into the eastern states. Deep low pressure trough starting to set up here over the eastern states. Again, this is Sunday, December 1st. Now let's move forward in time here and watch a continuation of this colder than normal pattern here. By the time we get into the middle part of next week, we still have this low pressure area kind of reforming over the eastern states right here, with that strong ridge out across the western U.S. So this is a cold looking pattern here, again, all the way down to Texas and Florida through much of that first week of December. Well, let's walk through the surface forecast maps using the 0Z run of the GFS. And here's a low pressure system out over the Midwest, and there is a cold front right here as we begin the day here on Monday. And that cold front slides to the east right here by late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Here's the cold frontal system at this particular time, early tomorrow morning. Notice a little bit of rain, not a heavy rain event, but certainly any rain will be welcome here in the Mid-Atlantic region, where it's still quite dry soil conditions here. But this front comes through on a Tuesday morning out in the west. Another low pressure area moves off the Pacific coast into the Rocky Mountain states, produces that significant snow out across the Sierra Nevada, and ultimately works its way across those higher elevation locations of Nevada, Utah, and all the way into Colorado by later tomorrow. Let's move forward in time here. And here we go. Again, this will be significant snow out across the Colorado Rockies by the middle of the week. And here we go now into Tuesday night and finally into midweek here. Excuse me, we have this significant snow out across Colorado and extending back into Utah and some of those higher elevation locations. This low pressure system will spill out over the middle of the nation by midweek. And here we go, kind of reforms, starts to intensify over the Tennessee Valley by late Wednesday night. Again, not a heck of a lot of a real cold air here out ahead of it, despite the fact that a cold front slides through on Tuesday morning. And then here we go by early Thanksgiving morning here. We have this low pressure area pulling out of the Tennessee Valley to the Ohio Valley on its way to the north and east. Some rainfall late Wednesday night, early Thursday, D.C., Philadelphia, and ultimately into New York City, where they, of course, have that annual Thanksgiving Day parade. And there will be some snow across the higher elevations of upstate PA into upstate New York, but it doesn't look significant right now. This is a kind of a fast-moving, low-pressure area. One system kind of outruns the second system. At this particular time, by midday on Thursday, there's a low pressure here, kind of a second one here. So it's kind of a stretched-out area of low pressure, and it's both of which are relatively quick movers off to the north Andes. That limits the chance of a real significant snowstorm here for the northeastern states. We'll go out a little farther in time. Again, kind of two separate lows. Here's that second one hanging back by Friday morning. Now, this is kind of perhaps more potent system here, maybe the more important one to watch here at the end of the week. We're talking about Thursday night into the day on Friday. This could actually end up producing more snow than that front-running system to the interior sections of the northeastern states. But again, over I-95, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, we're talking liquid right here. It looks like rain into Friday morning. And again, this will have to be watched. This could turn out to be a decent snowfall especially for the interior sections of New England, maybe upstate New York, also on Friday. Now, looking out here, notice the strong northwesterly flow is starting to set up here on the backside of this departing low pressure. We're into the Friday night time frame. This is when the Great Lakes snow machine may get turned on here, downwind of Lake Erie, for example, downwind of Lake Huron, where there could be some significant snow in that area here. And it just, when you see this tight isobar pattern this time of the year with the unfrozen Great Lakes, watch out. That is a destabilizing atmospheric setup here. And we're talking, again, late Friday night into the day on Saturday. And that windy, cold pattern here sets up for the mid-Atlantic, the northeast U.S. by the time we get to Saturday. And it really sets the stage for colder than normal weather all the way through that first 7 or 10 days or so of December. And again, we mentioned earlier on that this cold wave coming up for this week and into next week will extend all the way down into Florida and Texas. You can see at this particular time, this is a map a week from right now, next Monday, December 2nd. We have strong northerly flow extending all the way down through the southeastern U.S. into southern Florida, and again all the way to the Gulf region. So a big change, a colder than normal weather pattern sets up Friday, Saturday time frame for much of the eastern states. It will be accompanied by a lake event, a Great Lakes snow event here late Friday night into Saturday. And then that colder than normal pattern for much of the nation looks like it'll last right through that first week of December, maybe all the way out to around December 10th or so, something we'll certainly monitor over the next several days. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.